Where there is a lie, there cannot be love. Dakota pretended to be Brian's wife, taking advantage of the fact that he had lost his memory. But she didn't expect love to blossom between them. Will this relationship have a happy ending? Come find out. Dakota was in the hospital because of a severe anxiety attack that he was experiencing as a result of concerns about his financial situation. While waiting, she walked through the cold, white corridors, lit by fluorescent lights, which reflected the sadness of her life. Without a home or a certain destination, as she had been evicted from her home and had no family nearby, Dakota found herself standing in a corner, thinking about life without knowing what to do. It was then that she overheard a doctor talking to a nurse about the patient in room 12. The nurses mentioned that the hospital was worried because the patient had been in a coma for days and no one had come to visit him. The hospital was unable to identify the patient as he had no documents, just a photo with the name Brian Weber. Hospital social services tried, but were unsuccessful, to find his family. It was then that Dakota had an idea. Desperate for her situation, she saw a chance to change her luck. She knew that the hospital provided housing for family members who cared for the sick. So, she decided to pretend to be the unknown man's wife to have a safe place and a warm bed, something she hadn't seen in a long time. Dakota went to the hospital administration and claimed to be Brian's wife. When she entered room 12, she found a calm-looking man, but trapped in a deep coma. She sat down next to him, held his cold hand, and spoke softly, "I'll take care of you, Brian. I will always be here." She said it more to herself than to him. The unconscious man's blank stare made Dakota doubt his decision, but the need for shelter spoke louder. For several days, Dakota had food and a place to sleep at the hospital. She spent time at Brian's side, watching him closely. She often felt sorry that such a handsome man was in a coma, with no real relatives to be with him. Then, one morning, after weeks of monotonous routine, something unexpected happened. Dakota was sitting next to Brian, as always, when she saw his fingers move. Then he opened his eyes, visibly confused. He blinked several times, trying to focus his vision. "Where am I? Who are you?" he asked. Dakota ran to get the doctor. Brian had awakened from his coma, but he had no memory, unable to remember even his own name. The doctor patiently explained, "His name is Brian, and his memory may return at any time. Rest assured, this is normal in some cases. Your wife's presence can be crucial to your recovery." Brian looked at Dakota, still confused and vulnerable, but accepted the doctor's explanation. At that moment, Dakota, even though she knew that Brian's memory could return at any moment, was very happy. She decided to continue the charade, because in addition to guaranteeing more days in the hospital, she began to really worry about him. Brian found it strange that he didn't remember a marriage to such a beautiful woman, but he couldn't say anything about her past. He accepted Dakota's company, and over time, he realized how important her presence was for his recovery. Day after day, Dakota and Brian began to create a new story together. She began to create stories, telling details about a past that never existed, how they met on a rainy afternoon and how he promised her eternal love and much more. So each lie took place in the construction of a new relationship. In the midst of all these made-up stories, something real began to emerge. Brian, grateful for Dakota's constant companionship, began to fall in love with the woman he thought was his wife. "Thank you for always being with me," he said one night, holding her hands affectionately. "I apologize for not remembering you, but I'm sure I loved you very much, because I married you." Dakota smiled, but lowered her head. It was the first time she realized that the lie was going too far. She was deceiving a kind and sick man. But at the same time, she felt happy to be by his side, because she was also starting to really like him. As the weeks went by, everything got even more complicated. Brian's parents found out where he was and came to the hospital. They were shocked to learn about their son's alleged marriage. Brian's father, a serious man, looked at Dakota suspiciously at first, saying, We had no idea our son had gotten married." Dakota kept her smile, trying to look sweet. "It was all very quick and surprising." "It was love at first sight," she replied, maintaining her pose. As time passed, Dakota's genuine affection for Brian won over his parents, who began to accept her as part of the family. When Brian was discharged, his parents insisted that the couple move into their mansion. At that moment, Dakota felt scared and wanted to tell the whole truth, but she feared Brian's parents' reaction, and because she didn't want to move away from the man she was beginning to love, she decided to remain silent. They were taken to a huge and impressive house. They stayed in a beautiful room, with beautiful furniture and a huge, super comfortable bed. This was something Dakota had never experienced before, and let's face it, she was also enjoying this new life. All of this made her situation increasingly complicated. Living as Brian's wife made her fall more and more in love with him, and have a good life in luxury. But at the same time, the lie was taking a heavy toll, and her love for Brian only grew stronger every day. The romantic nights with her fake husband were like a dream come true. He was affectionate and full of love. On one of those super special nights, Brian said, "I don't remember what our life was like before, but I'm still so grateful to have you with me, my love." When Brian said those words, Dakota couldn't hold back the tears. She felt unable to keep up the charade any longer. She truly loved Brian and knew he loved her back. Seeing the concern in his eyes, Dakota, fighting back tears, said, "Honey, I've never met a man as caring and kind as you in my entire life. I wanted to be the best wife in the world for you, but I couldn't. I can. When your memories come back, please remember that I love you so much." The next morning when Brian woke up, he didn't find Dakota beside him. Confused, he got up and saw a note on the bedside table. Without understanding what was happening, he took the note and began to read it. Here was the whole truth about how Dakota met him and why she pretended to be his wife. In the end, she confessed that she loved him very much and that, for that reason, she could no longer continue with the lie. 2 months passed and Dakota was still shedding tears remembering Brian. The days flew by, but their love only grew. The nights were a torment, reliving the moments of affection they shared. After looking for a job without success, she finally got one as a cleaning assistant. She rented a simple apartment and tried to move on, but the pain of longing was overwhelming. It was an uphill battle to overcome this lost love. Friends, love cannot flourish amid lies, because the truth is its essence. In a relationship, where trust is vital, a lie can completely ruin the feeling of love, don't you think? On a sunny Saturday, the day dawned radiant. Dakota moved with the cool breeze. She was eating her solitary breakfast as usual when the doorbell rang. When she opened the door, Brian looked at her with an even deeper love than before, saying, "I remembered. I got my memory back, but I can't get you out of my heart. The truth may hurt, but what matters is the love we feel now. Come back to me, because I love you." Yes, my friends, we cannot forget one thing. Love is true, but it also needs forgiveness. Brian's parents, upon finding out everything, were shocked at first. But later they recognized Dakota's genuine love and also forgave her. So they got married for real, now with Brian's parents' blessing. In the mansion, where before everything seemed so quiet and empty, now joy and love filled every corner. Dakota, who had once walked in as a stranger, was now truly part of the family. She found more than a place to live, she found a home where true love lived. The lie that got her there disappeared, but the love she and Brian shared only grew, like a flower that blooms more beautiful every day. Did you like this story full of love and twists? So, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any news. Let's embark on more exciting adventures together. Thanks for watching and see you next time.